docents or whatever here. I'm a descendant of the two earliest white guys that came to Houston County, Daniel McLean and John Shirley. They came in 1820. Daniel McLean fought in the Battle of the Medina River, and in exchange for that fight, he was given a league in the labor land. And you will cross McLean Creek on the way back on 21 at Weeches, on the way to Weeches. This house was built in 1854 by the grandnephew of James Monroe. Here's a picture of his name is Armstead Monroe. He came to Galveston, and then he came up the Trinity River, and he stopped at Alabama Crossing, just where you were. And naturally, he was single, and he met a beautiful young woman there at Alabama Crossing by the name of Rachel Albright. And they were married soon thereafter, and he had a store in Alabama Crossing. And soon he came to the city of Crockett. Now, the city of Crockett was created in 1837 as, you know, as one of the earliest cities in early towns in Houston, in Texas. So Monroe then came to Crockett, and he opened up a mercantile business on the square in Crockett. And as I said, this was the second house he built in Crockett. His first house was built in 1847, and I live in that house. It's 2 blocks from here. And there was, we're not sure why he built two big houses in that early part of Texas and in Crockett. But he obviously had some money when he came down here. He was very young, he was in his early 20s. And but anyway, he built this house. This house is Great Revival. The greatest part about this house, I think, is the entrance, is this entrance hall. You might think that at one point it could have been a dog trot, but originally it was built this way. It was restored in the 70s by a famous historical architect, Rayford Strickland. And Rayford, you know, some of you might know, you're not in your head, was from St. Augustine. And they hired Rayford, and he came and did his research, and then they restored the house. Like I said, it is Great Revival. These are 14-foot ceilings. The floors are pine, and they're hand planed, and they're only planed on one side. And it says in the docent handbook, and I don't always agree with that the guy didn't always select, he just took the next board, planed that board, put it in place. So these are random length boards. You'll notice that the chair rail and this goes all the way around this side of the house, and then over over there in the parlor. The fireplaces were built by famous brick mason Salathiel Roberts. And Salathiel did some work in Cherokee County also. And these are 4 freestanding fireplaces that are original to the house. The rest of the furnishings range from furnishings that were in the house when it was given to the foundation and other contributions by well-meaning citizens and family members and so on and so forth. So we'll go into the first parlor. And if you have any questions, just stop me. Maybe I'll know the answer. 1854, some of the furniture of that period was sort of the Empire style. And you know, the Federal period was sort of a little bit before the Empire period. Federal had a lot to do with eagles and talon feet and so on and so forth like that. Empire has this is probably this is French Empire. This is sort of Empire Federal. Here's sort of wings and then a talon feet. That's Empire chest of drawers. That's an Empire dresser. And this is probably Victorian. But anyway, here's one of the 4 freestanding fireplaces. And you know, in Greek Revival, everything's supposed to be balanced. So there's 2 rooms on this side, and there's basically 2 rooms on that side of the house with a giant hallway. The next we'll go into the second parlor, and you'll notice these giant pocket doors. These are wonderful pocket doors. When Rayford Strickland got here, these doors had been hinged. And but anyway, he found that the hardware was still in the walls. So he was able to get these doors back on the track. And of course, this would make this into two separate parlors. If you had, that supposedly he had two daughters, and when they were both courting, and he could do that. They could break them. This is an Empire. This is, of course, Empire. A lot of that was mahogany. Here's another one of the fireplaces. This was the door going outside. These box locks, three of the box locks in the house are original. The front box lock in the back, and this box lock right here. The other ones they had to have recreated by a guy in San Antonio. These have great windows. These are 14 pane windows, and the glass was hand poured. So it's, this is probably Victorian. Right here, these two pieces. This is called a coffin grand piano. A local piano tuner says they're famous for never keeping a tune, and the best thing that can be done would be to bury somebody else. But this is an etagere. It's sort of a Victorian piece, probably. Move back into the hall. When Reverend Strickland, in his research of the house, he thinks that the staircase was moved 3 times, and this is back to the original location of the staircase. But the houses had a lot of different owners, and they had a lot of different numbers of children, and so they just did all kinds of things to make it more habitable. This is the dining room, of course. As is with all houses of the period, the kitchen was what always caught on fire, and so they detached the kitchen from the house so that it would hopefully burn. The kitchen might burn, but not the entire house. Here's another one of the fireplaces. This was a piece of furniture that was in the house when it was given to the foundation. This is Victorian furniture here. This is Balik china from Ireland and various sundry other things. Here's some more of this chair rail. This is continuing out of the hallway and going through here. The back porch had to be totally restored, and underneath the back porch is a 14-foot cistern, and the gutters on the house funnel water into the cistern, and that's what they use for bathing and so on and so forth. But this was is the kitchen. It is attached. Well, it's technically detached. This is a lap siding, to keep the water off. A lot of times you'll see siding that's under a porch will not be lap because lap is more expensive. You'll just see the flat siding because water is not a problem for that. But the house has a great presence in this giant hallway. That's my favorite part of the whole house. Any questions? Oh, not me, I know that. This is, you can read about this wallpaper. This is historically correct wallpaper. It was, if you need the details, I did those. No. Okay.
Family tree.
Right, this is a family tree showing that he was in fact the grandnephew of James Monroe. This is what's known as a half teaster bed. Half teaster covering half of the bed. A full teaster would come completely down here to this end of the bed with and of course then they had some kind of mosquito netting draped in here to keep the mosquitoes off of them and so forth. This is this is probably Victorian. Eastlake, maybe, I don't know. But the various furnishings, this is just called a sewing table or a work table. That's a washstand, Victorian washstand, baby crib. Here's a large wardrobe, which linen press or wardrobe. That looks like it's made out of walnut. This wallpaper, I don't know if you can see it. Wallpaper design is Rose of Sharon. Rose of Sharon's like a peony. These light fixtures, of course, that light fixture, cranberry shade, you'll notice that the change, it will go up. you know, to spread more light in the room, or you can put it down to change it. It was probably kerosene, you know, converted to electric. And the reason it's not owned is the bulb's burned out. No one knows how to change the bulb, and we're all afraid to break the shade. This is a store and a half. So there are bedrooms upstairs. We'll go. Let me show this back. Of course, this is being the store and a half. This is where the roof is coming down, and these are the dormers. So this is where they created the bedrooms in here. This looks like it wouldn't have been original, but yet it was. When the shutters are open, you can see this is a palladium type window, and and look at the size of these panes. And of course, to get the roof to be flat, they actually lowered it right here, and probably, you know, the infrastructure, the air conditioning, ductwork, and so on and so forth. You'll notice that there are certain sagging parts of the house, especially like this wall right here. It's, you know, it's 154 years old, so it's and we have some water leaks right now that we can't seem to figure out where the water's getting in, so it's creating some problems for the house. This is the mammy bench. You know, the baby was right here, and people were shorter then, so that's why the furniture is lower to the ground.
Looks just right to me.
Well, that's perfect. This is the plantation desk, where they pay their bills and sort their various sundry things. This will lock up here. This is a famous Crockett chair. There's a guy in Crockett named Monroe, and he made a lot of chairs, and there are a lot of them that are still around today. He had a signifying mark. He probably made some kind of tool. All of his chairs have this mark right here. It's sort of a banding like, and if you see these chairs, they were all high bottom, and they are splayed, and they took a draw knife and actually, you know, took off part of this rounded board here, and then he wrapped this around something to give it sort of this curved effect. A friend of mine, as a child, lived above his shop, and said that she and her sister were always afraid to go by his shop because he had hides hanging up in the attic, in the ceiling. He had them stretched, you know, drying, and you'd go and see black ones and white ones and brindle ones and all this kind of stuff, because he's making these chairs, and then he's picking the hide seats to go in them. And so, but anyway, this is the child's chair, and there are lots of these that are still around, and that indicates what a great chair maker he was, because they stayed. I have a bunch of these myself. But and then there was a great chair maker in Grapeland by the name of Whitaker, and his chairs still exist. And other than that, I don't know of any furniture makers that are, you know, aside from just family pieces in and around Crockett. This is another one of the bedrooms. Of course, at the time they probably could have had petitions. They probably had a lot more beds in here than they're in here now. But I mean, this is a big room, and it could handle, you know, certainly sleep a lot of people. Yeah, this is another Monroe chair right here, and there's that mark. Sometimes he painted them, rarely, but sometimes. Here's another Monroe chair. But then they're just various. This is East Lake. This wardrobe here. It had those. The pulls are sort of not there anymore. It had this kind of funny pulls on it. Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
This is for quilting?
Yes, sir.
What do you call it? Is it a loom or something?
It would be a loom. Yes, sir. I don't know how that works, but
I think it's a frame. A quilting frame.
Okay.
this is after it's been, the blocks have been made, they put it together, then they're binding it or putting the back to it or
Connecting all the pieces.
yeah. Sounds good.